Removal Europe, to this event that is organized by World Fish Migration Foundation. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today to this second edition of the Dam Removal Europe's Cafés, where we will continue advocating to open the gates for free-flowing rivers through the removals of barriers. Today, we are going to have interviews from the field, from France, for example, or the UK. We will listen to nice music too, and we will have some interesting surprises, you will see. I am Yurena Lorenzo, the European Program Manager of Wetlands International Europe, who is also a partner of Dam Removal Europe Coalition. And I will be your moderator today from Brussels in Belgium, Europe. I will now provide some information on how you can participate during this event. First of all, as you saw, the event is going to be recorded. You are all muted. However, there is a chat box that you will find in the lower side of your screen, where you will be able to drop any questions that you might have. If there is any particular question that addressed to specific speaker or interviewee, please write his or her name in the chat box, or try to write the question while the speaker is talking, so it's easier for the team to manage the questions. The chat box will be also used by the team to add links and materials, like, for example, the link of the Mentimeter poll that we will organize in a second, or, for example, the link to the Mentimeter final quiz that we will organize at the end of the event, whose winner will get a special e-badge. All presentations or the recordings will be, uploaded in Dam Removal Europe's YouTube channel. With me today are Phoebus, Neza, Nicole, Elena, and Sam from World Fish Migration Foundation. I know that Herman is also there, but he is just relaxing and not being part of the active organization of the event. So enjoy today, Herman. And they will help make of this cafe a fun one and a dynamic one, because those are the characteristics of these cafes. So before taking off, I would like to give the floor to Neza, who is going to introduce us to an icebreaker exercise. So Neza, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello, and yeah, welcome from my side. I'm joining you from Ljubljana, Slovenia. So the icebreaker for today, we're going to go together to menti.com. You can use your browser on your computer or your mobile device. And we go together to menti.com. And then you'll be asked for a code. I guess we're all getting there. And the code that you need to type in, let's do it together. It will be 92636268. All the information is now also in the chat box, so you can also copy paste. And the question for today is, which barrier in which country would you like to see being removed? So it can be your wildest dream, the biggest dam, the one you might think it's impossible at this moment, but let it out. We are curious. We want to know the barriers you would like to see to come out. We have first entry, the Hoover Dam. Okay. Chambon, where's that one? I'm curious now. Still thinking? I always thought every one of us always have like one that instantly think of. Glen Canyon Dam. Greece on Aus River. Is this really upstream? else? Portugal. Add the country as well, because sometimes I'm a bit confused where those are. This tells us a little bit of also where you're from. Sweden. Good, I give you a minute more to answer. Do we have one from Ethiopia? I think we should really check those out. So please, can we save the results and check these dams out? I would be really curious, and we'll make a collage out of these dams. Thank you very much for participating. Yorena, I'm giving
you, Neza.
Floor back to you.
Thank you. Okay, so I would not like to start without thanking to those organizations who have made this event possible. The sponsors, the Open Rivers Fund, and the Program of Resources Legacy Fund that is supported by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. And I would also like to thank Rewilding Europe and WWF for their in-kind support. So let's get started. And today we are honored to host a great cartoonist, illustrator, and graphic designer, Seppo Leinonen from Finland. Seppo has studied forestry and fine arts in Helsinki, and he creates amazing pro-nature cartoons that you can admire at his website. My colleagues are going to share the link with you. And during the cafe, Seppo will draw a special cartoon, which we'll share with us towards the end of this webinar. Hi, Seppo, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm fine.
Yes.
A bit, there's of course always a bit tension how it will go, but I try something.
I can imagine. Well, I leave you be then and talk to you soon. So we will catch up later.
Okay, nice.
Thanks, Seppo. So let's connect now with Kendall, the UK, and introduce you to a very special guest that many of you know and admire, who is also behind the largest dam removal in the UK history, Mr. Jeremy Wade. Jeremy has spent nearly 40 years traveling to the world's remoter rivers, tracking down and documenting elusive underwater creatures. He has written 3 books about his travels, and his work has appeared in The Guardian, The Times, Sunday Telegraph, and BBC Wildlife Magazine. And of course, he hosted the Rivers Monsters, the most watched show in Animal Planet's history, for 9 straight seasons. Hi, Jeremy, and thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Hello, it's a pleasure. Yes, I'm next to some very noisy water at the moment. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you very well, and I suppose that everyone can hear you very well. So I have a couple of questions for you, Jeremy. The first one is that we heard that a demolition of a river barrier started this morning there. So why is this removal so special, and what did you find most interesting and inspiring?
Yeah, we're doing a little film about it, and you know, from my point of view, we talk about fish a lot. It's a big barrier. You might be able to see it behind me. It's a couple of meters high. Yep, and you know, in particular here, the salmon, Atlantic salmon and sea trout have a hard time getting up that. But of course, as we're all learning now, it's not just about those migrating fish. It's the when you take the barrier down, the silt redistributes, the entire river, you know, reshapes itself. the silt moves, the quality of the bottom changes, all the very the other unglamorous creatures at the bottom of the food chain, they flourish, and everything right the way up. I think, a lot of people are caring more about fish these days, but things like birds that are more visible, that's all part of the same thing. It's the whole ecosystem that's going to improve. So yeah, unfortunately what happened, it didn't come down today, because we had heavy rain last night, and we arrived this morning to find water really pouring over the top of it, which is a good example of the power of water. And of course, the potential when you've got a structure like this, which hasn't been used for 50 years, and it's if it doesn't get maintained, the whole thing could suddenly go unexpectedly. And so the message that they're trying to put across here is it's not just about fish. It actually helps the resilience of the whole catchment against floods. I mean, and just the fact here that rain last night, this is the Lake District in the UK, so lots of hills very close to the river. It rains, it goes straight in the river. The river responds really quickly. So the more the river can absorb that without these old structures creaking every time it rains, the better. But no, it's been a very good day. Yeah, we've been sort of documenting the build.
Very nice.
Yeah,
yeah. I have
nice
another
place.
question for you. During the last few decades, there has been an increasing trend in barrier removal, especially in the US and Europe. So have you noticed any improvement on the inland fisheries or the conservation status of rivers that makes you feel optimistic about the future?
Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of people, when they hear about environmental news, they imagine it's all bad news. And the fact is that there is good news there, and it's just a case of getting it out there. I made a series about the world's rivers 3 or 4 years ago called Mighty Rivers, and one of the programs was on the Danube. And they are starting to, in quite small ways, sort of de-engineer the Danube, because over years, over decades, the big priority has been navigation. So tidy up the channels, deepen the water, close the backwaters. And then what they realized, in a sense, we didn't learn a lot of the things we know now. We needed to get it wrong before we can start putting it right. So when that happened, a lot of the fish suffered, particularly, that's a fish called a huken, which is it is a member of the salmon family. It lives entirely in fresh water, doesn't migrate to the sea. But these fish were doing, they were declining dramatically in the main Danube. And we went to a place in Austria where they have started to open up the backwaters, and restoring the flow in the backwaters. It's been moving the silt around. It's been creating gravel bars in the main river channel, which can be used for spawning habitat. And then on top of that, we met 2 people, a father and a son. Their main job is they produce wine, but they are keen anglers, and in their spare time, they breed huken and they reintroduce them to the river. And it's just a really good example of this big thing about nature, is that if we work with it, sometimes just a small helping hand and nature will take over. We'll do the rest of the work itself. We just turn up. It's a bit like surgery. People say, rivers are the arteries of our planet. Yes. And so what's going to happen here? There's going to be this heavy machinery going in and chipping away at the weir. But in a sense, that is like life-changing surgery. And you only go in there and you do it once, and then the river will heal itself. And it's getting this message across to people. It's showing them the state before and then the state after. And the more you can do that and get the word out there, the more people are going to be, keen to see this gather Definitely. Momentum.
Yeah, that's totally true. Yes, I'm going to ask Neza if there is any question for you in addition to mine. Neza, any question for Jeremy?
sorry, yes, there is. So, what can any of us do in rivers? So, as individuals, is there anything we can contribute to this bigger picture?
As individuals, I think an awful lot these days is about information. You know, that there are the control of information, the dissemination of information. There's a lot of sort of, you know, the wrong information, which has a lot of force behind it. And I think, going back to what I said just now, these good news stories tend to be hidden. You know, you bump into them and you hear about them, you maybe tell a few people. You know, we should all be, you know, I think our job is to look for those stories and spread them. Because, you know, information has a real power. And if you can, you know, if people don't know about projects like this, then they're never going to care about them. But if they hear about them, they hear why you're doing them, they hear what the results are, because you know, on one level, it's a very theoretical academic subject. So that's why we've been making a film today. We've come down, we've got cameras, we're trying to put it into everyday language. It's going to be up on the World Fish Migration Foundation website eventually. People can go there and, you know, direct people to that, you know, just spread the word. I think that is, so much of it is about that. It's, you know, there's things we can do in our life, but a lot of it is about, it's about, you know, the information ecosystem. Take control of that. Don't let other people dominate that, and you know, the rest of us just sort of sit back and allow that.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. That's inspiring. We will get back to learn more about this special removal in a bit. So we will leave you for the time being. Jeremy, thank you so much. And for now, we are going to watch a short video about a special barrier removal and river restoration project from the USA, funded by one of our sponsors, Resources Legacy Fund, a nonprofit organization that partners with leaders in philanthropy, communities, government, science, and business to promote smart policies and secure equitable public funding for the environment, climate change, resilience, and healthy communities.
You can see a dam as kind of restricting access to traditional practices. It perpetuates an inability to access cultural foods, the inability to access a waterway that I think represents settler colonialism well. So when I think about removing a dam, I think about the ability to restore these relationships with this waterway. I think about this ability to really access and benefit from, you know, getting into these reciprocal relationships with the land. We are in the traditional territory of the Chitoni people, part of the Awaswas speaking Ohlone peoples here near Davenport.
This system was actually incredibly productive. It's got this really unique geology. It's got an amazing amount of flow and really cold water. So it's really an ecosystem project. It's not just, hey, we want to get fish by, but we want to get the system functioning, the energy moving in all different directions.
Nobody thinks about infrastructure until something goes wrong. And all across this country and my district, there is aging infrastructure that is no longer resilient. And it's very difficult to find energy and resources in order to replace it. And so it's been an incredible opportunity to have outside partners come in and bring their expertise, energy, and resources to help serve both the community and the ecology on the North Coast.
Dam removal is a great story of showing how we can all evolve in our thought processes and maybe move towards a way of managing land and tending land that is less domineering, that acknowledges the importance of our non-human relatives, and that also can facilitate the return of access, super important access for indigenous communities to life-sustaining waterways.
Thank you, guys. Let's move now to Normandy in France, where we are going to meet with Laura Suarsson. Laura is a researcher in the French National Institute for Agriculture, Food and Environment, and the coordinator of the Saloon Scientific Program, aiming to monitor and understand the restoration mechanisms of the Saloon River and its valley at different scales: social, biological, hydrological, and sedimentary. Hi, Laura, how are you? Ça va?
Hi. Happy to be here.
Super. So I have a couple of questions for you. In summer 2019, the largest dam removal in Europe was executed when the 36-meter high Vezin hydropower dam was demolished. And this month, the demolition works of La Roche-Puibois, a 60 meters high, also hydropower dam, will start. So why was it decided to remove these big and operational dams?
Well, I will think of different reasons why they decided to remove the dams. The first one was both dams, they were century-old. That meant that they needed a high-cost maintenance. And also their production, the electricity production, was not sufficient anymore. If you think of equivalent, both dams by the end of their lives were producing as much as 3 windmills. So that's not a lot compared to the impact also they had. They had a huge ecological impact on the river and on the valley. They were fragmenting the river. They were cutting the connection between the upstream area and the ocean. So that's one. And then also they were leading to damage of the water quality was not good enough anymore. So the water that was behind the dams in the reservoirs was regularly contaminated with cyanobacteria, toxic algae that prevented from fishing or swimming even in the lakes. So that was one of the reasons. And also there was another reason. By law, all dams need to be equipped with fish passages. They need to be able to open up to allow fish for migration, for instance. And in that case, it was not possible, or the costs were too high. So that's all the reasons that led to the removal of both dams.
Okay. And when did you start the monitoring and research studies of the detrimental effects caused by the dams? Will the situation continue to be monitored after the second removal?
Yes, so our scientific program started in 2012 and it will continue until 2027. So the idea was to really monitor the whole restoration process. So we have an idea of how it was before with the dams. Now we are looking at the situation where the dams are being removed. And then we will have an idea of how it looks like after, when the river becomes free, completely free. So actually the second dam is being removed at the moment. They started the work on Monday last week.
I see. And could you, because the social aspect of dam and barriers removal is always interesting, could you maybe provide some insight from the social perspective? Did you conduct any social studies? And if you did, which were the results?
Well, yes, we have a team of social scientists and geographs that are working as part of our program, and they conducted interviews, discussion panels locally, but also they looked at every aspect of this restoration process on a social perspective. Well, there was a huge opposition to the project at first. Opponents were really active in that aspect. And this was mostly due to a lack of communication. So they had this feeling that the decision came from above, from the government, and I was just landed to them. They didn't really get an explanation to why it was going on this way. It was quite brutal to them because if you imagine behind the dams, there are lakes that were used for tourism, for fishing. So that was part of their landscape, and it was going to be removed. So the opposition was pretty strong. And our team is still working at the moment. So the dams are being removed and they are still working to know what will be the future of the valley. So they are still conducting the surveys and interviews.
I see. And a last peculiar question. Why did you decide to first remove the Vezin Dam and not the La Roche-Cuibois, which is closer to the river mouth?
Well, that's a very interesting question. And actually, this decision was taken when the decision to remove dams, both dams, was made in 2009. And it was made by the parties in charge of the demolition. And there was one big reason behind this decision. It's a technical reason. There's a lot of sediment that got trapped in the reservoirs and needed a lot of work. So for Vezin, it took 2 years, and for La Roche-Cuibois also, it took 2 years to remove part of this sediment. And especially in Vezin, a tributary in the upstream area was polluted. The sediment was polluted, so they had to do a lot of work. And this polluted sediment was trapped in the reservoir. So they had to remove it, but just to be sure, when they opened it, they needed to have a buffer, and the second dam that was downstream was this buffer, just to check whether the polluted sediment was correctly removed and would not go further. At the end, we have the Mont Saint-Michel Bay, which is very important. And as a biologist, I also have another reason that I find a good reason also why to do first the upstream dam, that when you remove the upstream dam, all this part that is upstream is starting to restore, and then you won't touch it anymore. If you go first with the downstream, you affect the area first, and then you go with the upstream dam and you affect the area again downstream. While when you remove first upstream, the recovery starts, and then after you can go down. So that's also a good reason for that.
Yes, it is indeed. Well, Laura, thank you so much for having joined us. And if there are questions for Laura, you can always use the chat box. If Laura stays, maybe Laura, you can try to answer if you stick around for the rest of the event. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now, what about a music break and some relaxing time? I would like to introduce you to Cesar Rodriguez, who is a guitar player that will perform for us 2 songs during the event, while we watch some nice pictures of dams that have already been demolished in Europe. Cesar is also the Secretary General of AEMS Ríos con Vida, or AMS Ríos con Vida, which in English means the Association for the Study and Improvement of Salmonids, Rivers with Life. The organization is the only national-wide NGO in Spain focused on protecting and restoring rivers since 1979. And Cesar and his team are the leaders on communication and advocacy of dam removal and freeing rivers in Spain. And they have taken to court many cases of illegal dams and pushed for the removal. So Cesar, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you
Adelante.
so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Beautiful. Muchas gracias, César. Thank you. Okay, so I think that we have some breaking news. Pau, what's going on?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We interrupt our program to share really exciting news. The European Open Rivers Program is now inviting expression of interest for project submissions to help fund small dam removal preparatory projects and demolition works. The deadline for submission is Friday, 8th of July. In addition, the final selection for the last call has been made, and the result will be announced soon. Next, dam removal continues in Spain. After a 14-year campaign by Spanish NGO Ríos con Vida, with full of claims and appeals, the National Court has ratified the demolition order adopted in 2019 by the Spanish Ministry for Ecological Transition, which obliged energy company Enel to demolish the infrastructure and bear the cost of the action. Big congratulations to Cantabrian River Basin Authority for this terrific success. Next. Oh, 1 minute. Last minute news coming in right now. The Guadiana River Basin Authority in southwest of Spain, oh my goodness, proposes the demolition of a 38-meter high and 487 meters wide dam that was built in Spain in 1982 to cover the cooling and service needs of the Valdecaballeros nuclear power plant, which has never been commissioned. This is truly amazing, and we will closely follow the final outcomes of this dam. Coming up next, the European Rivers Summit 2022 will happen in Brussels at the end of September. This will be the third summit where attendees will find out the most important policy issues, big ideas and latest studies of healthy rivers, and engage directly with Brussels at the home of the European Commission and Parliament in defending healthy rivers for people across Europe. So don't miss this opportunity. Next, the first ever Dam Removal Europe Award was given away on May 19th at a special ceremony during Dam Removal Europe International Seminar, which happened in Lisbon, Portugal. Out of 5 finalists from Spain, France, UK, and Finland, the Finnish obstacle Kangaskoski Dam at Hiitalonjoki River emerged as the winner with a €10,000 prize. Also, this past May, WWF Germany was awarded €1.5 million from the German postcode lottery from the Taumtaler project to reconnect river habitats by removing barriers on Bavaria's rivers and streams, where 57,000 obstacles were known to date. We hope to hear more about this project from WWF Germany in the coming months. And finally, La Rouge-Bois Dam demolition started last June 21st. The 60-meter high dam is the last big barrier being taken out of the Saloon River in Normandy. When the works are finalized, La Rouge-Bois, which is the last dam, the river will be completely free from big dams over a century of blockage. This is all for now. Good evening from DRE News, Brussels. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pau. Now it's time to connect again with England and the Bowston Weir removals, and we will meet there Pete Evoy. Pete is the Trust Director of South Cumbria Rivers Trust, and he also leads the Bowston Weir removal project. He has worked within all the catchments of South Cumbria. I hope that I'm pronouncing this correctly because I'm not sure if it's Cumbria or Cumbria, as well as with the National Rivers Authority and the Environment Agency. Hi, Pete. How do you pronounce Cumbria or Cambria? Please tell me.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's pronounced Cumbria.
Cumbria. Okay, good.
Bowston Weir in Cumbria. That's correct.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you very much for joining us today. We heard that this will be the biggest weir removal ever occurred in the UK. Is that correct?
Oh, wow. Now, I would love to take that prize and that claim. But I think, to be fair, probably the biggest in the UK this year for the River Restoration Strategy Programme. You know, I don't know if you can see it behind me, but it's about 34 meters, 35 meters long. It's about 3 meters high. It's on a highly protected river, so it's extremely significant.
Yes, and we see it very well. So the demolition works started today. What has happened? Well, the question is that correct? And if that's correct, what happened?
Well, it's not correct, unfortunately.
Oh, la, la.
Oh, indeed. Well, we're so disappointed. We're all down on the river today. We were scheduled to take out the first notch in the weir, but the vagaries of the British weather in Cumbria, in the northwest of England, in the Lake District, the river levels yesterday were very low. The water was just tipping over the weir. It was low and it was clear. We had rain yesterday and into the evening, and we've had a summer spate. So it's made it unsafe for us to do what we had scheduled to do today.
I see. Maybe you could tell us a bit more about the Boston Weir and who was the owner and why and how it was decided to be removed.
Yeah, well, Boston Weir is actually owned by a company called James Cropper, who have been in the paper making industry for many, many years, 150 years or thereabouts. And Boston Weir is in their ownership and is, although it's redundant now, it was involved many years ago in the paper making industry. We first were able to get introduction during 2016 when the sluice gate on the weir failed, and you know the large impounded section upstream of the weir, it just dewatered and produced this beautiful looking river, and gave us an opportunity to get in touch with the weir owners and say, hey, do you fancy us taking this out at our expense and taking away the responsibility for, you know, restoring this structure? We can take it out and we can return the river to what it should be.
Super. And what about the local community? How did they react to the decision of removing the barrier? Have you seen a shift in the local perspective around this topic through the years?
It's been very difficult. The problem we have in the UK, I think, you know, we're a crowded little island. Many of our rivers in the Lake District are very short run, you know, just a few tens of kilometers. And we have many habitations along the river and villages, and people love their weirs, and we had multiple objections to it. Although we didn't disagree with many of those objections, we maintained a connection with them, a courteous and respectful connection with them, keeping them updated. Although, you know, in the end, we prevailed. We got all the permissions through, but I think it's very fair to say that there are still a lot of the local community and the residents who still don't agree with its removal. But I have to say, since we've been on site, people are walking along a footpath which comes alongside the weir, and we've had many people who actually say they think it's a great thing. So many times I think we hear the voices of those who don't want things, and sometimes the voices of those who are in support are very quiet.
Yes, indeed. Well, Pete, I wish you the best of successes, and thank you so much for joining us today. And I have to say that there is another breaking news I see. What's going on, Poivos?
Well, hello, Irena, and I'm really sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to share with all of you, some very exciting news about dam removal Europe. And let me start with saying that we just updated our map, our online map, right this morning. And it's a publicly accessible map. You can find it on their website, and you can see all the barrier removals that ever executed in Europe throughout time. And of course, we are talking only about the removals that we know of. And just let me add that this map will be updated regularly, so make sure that we keep an eye on it. And secondly, the DRE survey for 2022 was also launched today. And you will find it once again on their website, and you can use it to share with us any information you may have for barrier removals that were executed again in 2022. And final thing, this survey will stay open until the end of the year. So whenever you have any information that you wish to share with us on barrier removals in 2022, please go on the DRE website, fill in the survey, and let us know about it. And so we can monitor the situation in the best possible way. Well, that's it for now, Irena. Thank you very much. Sorry to interrupt you.
Thanks to you. I think that I'm feeling like taking another music break with Cesar Rodriguez. What do you think? And this time, let's do it while we enjoy some pictures of riversides where barriers used to stand. Cesar, adelante. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much, Cesar. That was simply beautiful. Okay, back in the UK, but this time we go to Wales, where Joel Rhys-Jones is waiting for us by the river and the weir that was partially removed last year. Joel is the team leader of a live project called The River Restoration and at the Natural Resources Wales. This is a £6.8 million project to transform the River Dee and its catchment by restoring the river and its surroundings back to their natural state. Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you.
Okay, so I have a list of questions for you. The first one is, so the last couple of years, the Natural Resources Wales removed several barriers. When did you start this practice and why? And I see that you have some nice background. Maybe you can also tell us what we are looking at.
Yeah, no problem, absolutely. Yeah, so well, NRW and predecessors have been working on barrier removal and improving fish passage predominantly for a couple of decades. But with the LIFE program, we got the opportunity to really go all out on the Dee and really carry out some big projects that we've been wanting to do for several years. So it was really multifaceted, really, why we wanted to do it. Obviously fish passage is a massive part of it, but also, all geomorph and things like that other people have mentioned this afternoon. There's many reasons to carry out that work. The structure I'm on at the minute is right in the middle of Llangollen in North Wales on the Dee, and it's one of the 11 structures that we wanted to deal with under the LIFE project. So we've already addressed 5 of them, and we've got more to come. And we've actually picked up. We're going to do another 2 weirs as well whilst we're at it, just as a bit of an extra.
I see. And last year, I have heard that 2 barriers in the Dee River were removed only partially. Could you explain the rationale behind that decision?
Yeah, of course. So with on the Dee is one of being sort of said as one of the most regulated rivers in Europe. I'm not sure quite what that's based on, but it is a very heavily regulated river. And with that kind of comes an awful lot of constraints to carrying out work that we might want to do. Obviously, the preferred option with the structure in the background here, you can see the remaining
Yes.
where we put a notch in over on the far side. And the reason we only put a notch in was trying to reach a compromise between lots of different interested parties. You can probably see up in some of the, there's a lot of balconies and stuff overlooking the river. There's a lot of kayaking recreation in the area. If we'd gone for full removal of this structure, and there's another structure just above the bridge, just above this one, if we'd have gone for full removal, we would have we'd have created real issues in terms of dropping the water level, significant drops in the water level, and the whole industry in the area has been built up around that. We've throughout this, we've maintained superb relationships with the users in the area. The half of the weir that we actually carried out the work on is owned by one of the rafting companies that operates in Llangollen. So I mean, you can see they have a balcony that the balcony overlooks the river and overlooks the weir. So they own half of the structure, and they allowed us to carry out that work on the weir. And it just meant that if we'd have gone for full removal, it would have caused an awful lot of angst locally, and we wouldn't have been able to achieve what we want to achieve. As it is, with partial removal of this one and another barrier upstream, we've managed to achieve our objectives, but also we've got the benefit of we've managed to work with the locals in the area and work with businesses and recreation as well, and everybody's come out of the project happy with what's been achieved.
I see. And how can you be certain that the notch width and the water velocity won't prohibit fish passage?
Okay, so we had a lot of work done by a specialist contractor to model the impacts. Obviously, something that we've always kind of looked at. I think we've been very focused in the past on upstream passage, and sometimes we've forgotten about downstream passage, especially of salmon and salmon smolts, particularly for me. And we carried out a lot of work looking at what the impacts were going to be on both upstream and downstream at both of these weir structures. With the one in the background here, this is the Llangollen Lower Weir. We had a lot of modelling done looking at various options that we could have, ranging from full removal through to the various partial removal options. I mentioned earlier about dropping water level upstream, and the compromise we came to was removing a 4 metre wide section of this weir. So it's 4 metre section down to bed level, and that gave us velocities that were across the flow ranges from Q95 right up to Q10 that were going to allow fish to pass upstream successfully. So here we're primarily focusing projects primarily focusing on salmon and sea lamprey, but we were also considering things like eel and stuff like that in the modelling as well. So it was through a lot of detailed work, a lot of graphic surveys, detailed design, and ensuring that the velocities that we'd got met with the swimming characteristics of the fish that we wanted to be able to operate, wanted to be able to pass the structure. And as it happens now, all fish species will be able to pass there, given the velocities we've got.
I see. Well, thank you so much, Joel. I would have had more questions for you, but I see that we are running a bit out of time. Thanks again. The same, lot of success, and see you soon, maybe removing more dams somewhere.
Yeah,
Thank
brilliant.
You.
Thank you. Bye now.
Ciao, ciao. Okay, so I think that it's time now that we go back to Seppo, because I'm very curious to see if we have managed to inspire him today. So Seppo, is that the case? Have we inspired you to design something for us? The floor is yours.
Hello. Yes, I have to check the video. Just finished it now.
Yes. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
This is amazing. Oh, it's amazing, Seppo. I really like it, and I think that everyone loves it. It's a pity that not all of us can say out loud how fantastic this is. Yes, bravo.
Okay, thank you. I can send also this final.
Can we maybe leave it for a couple more seconds so people can
read it?
Can read it. Yes, yes, yes.
I have to say that in this other frame, I would also could drawn some other biologist than Jeremy, but I didn't have time to do it because it's hard to draw people. And
of course,
and
it
also,
was a very limited time.
I'm happy that Jeremy is doing like this catching big fish thing, but also doing this protecting wildlife and taking down dams business. So he's doing both sides. So that's also nice. And this other hook is like, as you see, it's like a law symbol.
Yeah.
Legislation is very important thing when we work with the dam removal, at least in Finland. Law helps sometimes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks to you, Seppo. Congratulations. This is great. I don't have words. So let's move to our last connection with the Boston weir removal site, and let's say hello to Pete again. Hi, Pete.
Yes, I'm still here. I was just marveling at that great cartoon. I thought that was marvelous.
Yes, it was amazing. He's a real artist, Seppo.
Absolutely.
I really loved it too. Check out his website because he has tons of designs, amazing ones, many of them related with dam removal. So Pete, can you show us the weir and the first notch? Well, not because this morning nothing happened, so that cannot I cannot ask you that.
Well, you can ask me, but I can give you the same answer.
No. So then let me ask you another question. When will this barrier be removed completely? When everything will end?
Sure, absolutely. Well, the in-river works part of it, which we started last week with one element of the of this weir removal, which is the construction of a rock rapid downstream of the weir. You can see behind me. So that was week one, and given good flow conditions, which we haven't got at the moment, given good flow conditions, and if the weather is kind to us over the next few weeks, we would hope, I would say, to be finished by the end of July.
Nice, that's nice.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, it is. So the weir has 2 installed fish ways. That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
Are they functional, and have you estimated their performance?
I think we've got a battery problem. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, great. I think we've got a low battery situation.
Ooh,
yeah, not so much in a scientific way if we assess their performance. I think from visual observations, it's very clear that these fishways, one is better than another, and the one that's more or less in the center of the fish pass is very poor. But I think what we have to consider is the fact that when these fish passes, these fishways were put in, people only ever considered salmon and sea trout. They didn't consider all the other species that inhabit the river. And not only do you need to allow fish to migrate through the river system that have some sort of marine life cycle or part to their life cycle, but all the river in the that we have, the bullheads, the minnows, the stone loach, the lampreys, the eels, the brown trout, they all need to migrate up and down the river in their own way for different reasons. And these fish passes are dreadful, apart from maybe at certain times of the year, just allowing the fish of migratory salmonids.
Yes. And my last question would be, how could you, in one word or two, how could you describe the site after the removal?
Wow.
One word or two.
All right. Well, I think what we're doing is returning the site to a natural performing river, or in all its form and function, with associated biodiversity improvements. And I think what we will be getting is a river that is pool and riffle, and it'll be beautiful.
Fantastic, fantastic. That sounds amazing. Well, Pete, now, yes, I have to say bye or goodbye. Hasta luego. Thank you so much.
And goodbye from Boston in Cumbria. And come back and see us again.
Yes, we will. We will for sure. Ciao. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, at this point of the event, when we are approaching the end, in fact, we are almost there. I would like to test your attention during the event, and I would like to invite you to participate in a quiz whose winner will win an e-badge, a beautiful e-badge. And Neza, can you give us more instructions, please? Thank you.
Okay, so Neza, it's out. So let me give you the instructions. Can you hear me, Irena?
Okay, yes, yes.
Great.
Yes.
So you go to menti.com once again, and the code is changed because it's a quiz, not the poll. The first one, you have to enter a username or something and you get an avatar. You see that, right? Okay, we're waiting for a few more to come on in. Come on, guys. You might win an e-badge. It's a beautiful e-badge designed by one of our team members, Sam. So come on, put your name there. Okay, I'll give you a few more seconds because we are running out of time. Okay, I think we're done. So go and Elena, press enter so we can start the first question. And please remember, you have to answer fast because time matters. So the first question is, what is Boston Barrier? Is it a culvert, a sluice, dam, or a weir? Come on, we heard that many times during the cafe, so you should know that by now. A few more seconds for you to answer. Almost there. Oh, come on, guys. That was an easy one. Good job to 17 of you. So go on to the next one, please, Lena. So which river did we visit in Wales where we met Joel? Do you remember? It was Saloon, it was Dee, or Kent. There was also a life project named after this river that won huge funding. So it's an easy question as well. Whoa, good job, good job. Most of you found it. Two more questions. Next one. So which barrier has already been removed? And here are your options. Well, we have the two French big ones. I'm not going to pronounce them. I will butcher the names. Then we have the Boston weir. We saw that several times. And we have this huge name. That was the Spanish one that Pau mentioned in the breaking news video. So
Val de Caballeros.
Oh, thank you, Irena. I would never manage to do that. Thank you. Oh, come on, guys. Come on. You're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. You're only here for the fun stuff. And let's move to the final question. So which barrier is that? I think that's the easiest question. To help you, we saw that 3 times. Okay, let me help you even more. It's not the first one. Five more seconds. Okay, okay. Good job. Let's see the winner. Let's count some points. Oh, I see Herman is here as well. Okay. Okay, so Christopher, congratulations. You were the fastest.
Christopher.
You got the highest score, and you won an e-badge that we will share with you. So if you can share with us privately your email, we'll be happy to share the e-badge with you. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you for this. Neza, you wanted to say a few words about Dam Removal Europe and World Fish Migration Foundation. So before we close the event, will you share those with us?
Real quick. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the show. We hope to bring you more of such mini webinars, mini series to you. And yeah, please support us on our website. You can find a donation options. We also have super cool hats now. So yeah, join us. And if you want to join us as a support organization, get in touch with me at neza@fishmigration.org. So yeah, we're looking forward to collaborate with you all and remove more dams.
Thanks, Neza. Well, dear participants and speakers, we have reached the end of this cafe. Thanks again for being out there, and thanks to our guests for your fantastic contributions and talks. I would also like to thank again to the organizers, the supporters and sponsors. And of course, I would like to invite you to the 3rd edition of the Dam Removal Europe's cafes that will most probably take place in October this year. I suppose that news about that edition will be on Dam Removals Europe website and World Fish Migration Foundation's website. You will receive an email from us asking for your feedback. There will be a survey for you to fill in, and thank you so much in advance for filling it in. Thank you again, and see you around removing some barriers. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.